it turns into polarization or conflict in the society. So I'm just going to try to explain or discuss a relationship between these four. And if you get bored, you can scratch your head, like just like yesterday, Dr. Altaf said. So you can do that again. Okay, so social capital is basically relations among persons that enable them to cooperate in pursuit of mutual objectives. You people develop relationships with each other. And what's the basic purpose of developing relationships? That's basically you want to have effective society. That's why we interact. That's why we have a mutual understanding. That's why we want to relate with each other, because we want our society to work. We want different things to get together. So हम basically social capital इसलिए drive करते हैं ताकि हम काम करें, अपनी society को effective बना सकें. Then social capital such as trust, norms and networks that can improve the efficiency of society by facilitating coordinated actions. Then social life features are networks, norms and trust that enable participants to act together more effectively to pursue shared objectives. So basically when you interact with each other, you have some shared objectives. Obviously you want to attain something, you want to achieve something. If you're a family has some shared objectives, right? ऐसा ही है. You live together because you have certain shared objectives. What if you don't have any shared objective? क्या करोगे आप? Are you going to stay in that relationship, or are you going to stay there if you do not have any objective? You will be isolated, and then will be no networking as well, because you're not going to talk to anybody because you don't share any objective with anybody. So there would be no social capital. Does it make sense? Then social norms. We talk a lot about our social norms, values. We should do this. We should do that. We are bound to do it. We are bound to do that. That's what, our social norms and value. But is it written somewhere? No. It's not written anywhere. Nobody has told you that go read that book and you'll get to know what our norms and values are. No. These are the norms and values which you are taught in your home, right from the, from your birth. Then society tells you that these are certain norms and values. You should act accordingly if you want to be a good citizen, if you want to be a effective part of that society. So by both for determining what patterns of behavior are expected in a given social context, or for defining what forms of behavior are valued or socially approved. So these are basically our norms, which is not a written document, but we all know what our norms are, even if we are not following those norms. Even if we are not following any value, any norm, but still we know that it's not like this. ऐसा ही है कि हमें पता है कि हम गलत कर रहे हैं, but हम करते हैं. ठीक है, ऐसे ही होता है. So we know that we are doing wrong, but चूंकि हमने वो बंद कर दी ना दिमाग में खिड़की जो कहती है कि गलत है, so we are doing it. And everybody does. It's not me, it's not you, it's not anybody else. We all. So it's basically a network ties of goodwill, mutual support, shared language, shared norms, social trust, sense of mutual obligation that people can derive value from. And it glues you together, your personal relationships, communities, regions, and a nation as a whole. Then there are three types of social capital, but I would talk about bridging and bonding. Bridging is that brings together people or groups who previously did not know each other, just like social media. You don't know people, but you bridge relationship with them. And in your, it's not about your immediate family, immediate groups, but your extended groups, extended people to whom they are not known to you. And bonding is basically when you bring closer together people who already know you. So these are like strong ties and weak ties kind of a thing, that there's a bridging and bonding in social capital. So these web of relationships, especially when link people from different backgrounds, are what hold a community together. So when your relationship, when you try to build relationship with the people who have a different background, who are heterogeneous, who are not homogeneous, you build a community. That means you're holding a community. What if you don't want to interact with any other people out of your family? So that means community is not going to be formed, na? Yahi hoga? So if you're not coming out of your comfort level, if you are not interacting with anyone who is not a part of your society, that means you are just comfortable. जैसे अब हम हो गए हैं ना कि we are good with our family. We don't know about our neighbors. We don't know वहाँ क्या है, but we are just like our families. So more bonding and bridging, more cohesive society, more capacity to manage conflict. If you are not stepping out, if you are not bridging and bonding, what does that mean? You're not able to solve problem. And then there will be more conflicts. There will be, no? Because you don't want to interact. You don't want to communicate. You don't want to talk to anyone who is not known to you. Or we normally say कि हमारा मसला नहीं है. We are not going to step in. We are not bothered. We don't want to talk. Just like anybody else can do anything with you, right? So when society's social capital in primary social groups disconnected from one another, the more powerful groups attempt to dominate. How? I'll tell you later. So trust, obviously we've discussed, that's a very important component of a social capital. You do everything on the basis of trust, but just as social capital has the capacity to increase trust, it has the capacity to decrease trust as well. It increases mistrust. So if you have a trust, fine, good enough, you have more social capital. But if you don't have that trust, that means there is a distrust. You're not going to trust anyone else. Now, how social media is basically supporting social capital, or it's generating capital, and how it is supporting network connections. There are like many studies which says that social media and social capital are positively related. The more people are active on social media, they have more social capital. The more active on, just like the people who are more active in the society, they know more people and they're more connected with the people. So same as the social media. They have more maybe engagement, audience engagement. They'll have more comments. They will have more sharing, retweets. So people can generate social capital through social media. So the relationship between social capital and social trust is positive. It promotes network individualism. People can put their social networks into motion when they need help, thus assessing and mobilizing their social capital. Just keep this thing in mind, and we'll come back to this when we'll talk about how it creates conflict in a society. So ideally, this is a situation that internet or social media can do. It's potentially increased political tolerance, allowing users to interact with and learn from those holding different political opinions. I've just told you that's an ideal situation. It's not happening anymore. Social media is a place where you create conflict, you stick to that conflict, you spread that conflict, and you become victim of that conflict at the end. Ideally, and how it can increase political tolerance? Because you meet people out of your own immediate network. So when you meet different people, you get to know about different opinions. When you get to know about different opinions, it broadens your horizon as well. It broadens your thought process. It broadens your mind. It gives you more information. And then only you can think that, yes, the opinion I have, the dimension I'm thinking of, maybe not the right thing, but what is happening? We have closed that window in our life. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that everybody does that. Obviously, it's a majority who have closed that window. We are not ready to listen to the opinions of others. We don't want to see the person we don't like. हमारा दिल करता है गोली मार दें, उससे नीचे हम बात नहीं करते. So we don't want that. Social media platforms facilitate interactions among individuals with weak ties. Weak ties means when you interact out of your own network, who hold more politically heterogeneous perspectives. So because the people belong to different backgrounds, they have heterogeneous backgrounds, so you get to know about the heterogeneous perspectives, different opinions of people. Then those are individuals' primary networks. Social media network sites use can actually increase political moderation instead of extremism. Social capital can also be negative and promote segregation, inequality, conflict, and crime. Kaise? In cases of group performing organized harassment, shaming, online trolling. This is what's happening on social media. People launch the campaigns to troll somebody, to harass people online, to shame somebody. And if you have noticed, I do because, and I have recorded somewhere else, if you have noticed if there is a post by somebody, random, koi, jisna Twitter pe, us pe, if there's anything like that, if you have ever noticed the comments, they're the same comments. Like it's word to word, exact comment, but from the different accounts. उसमें एक कॉमा भी आगे पीछे नहीं है. तो what does that mean? Copy paste के अलावा that's an organized campaign. There are the people sitting who are doing this thing. So that is when negative social capital includes. This is how you are generating a social capital. But that social capital is not being used in a positive manner. That's being used for negative things. So people, and then the people who are endorsing that also become a part of that campaign because you keep on sharing, you just tell that this is happening without even verifying, without even knowing from where it comes. So what happens then? It leads to polarization. Polarization, which हम उठते बैठते भी से बहुत polarization है हमारी society में. बहुत polarized society. क्या करें? That is like we are creating that polarization. It's not coming from outside. And it's not just Pakistan, it's everywhere in the world. But I just read in the morning, and I have added in a slide as well, that Turkey is a country, it's a study in 2019. Turkey is a country where 8 out of 10 people don't marry their daughters who's like with the people whose political ideas are not matching with them. So it's 8 out of 10. So that is the polarization. And third, third, fourth people don't do business with the people who don't match with their political ideologies. So हम फिर थोड़ा शायद कहीं बेहतर होंगे, हाँ? हाँ, because we can follow them. So the thing is that is leading to political polarization. Even if it's not political, it's polarization in every manner. It's religious polarization. It's there's a great division in society. हम कहते हैं middle class तो है ही नहीं. So there is polarization at every level. So the mistrust that typically develops between groups can destroy any bridging capital that did exist and limit the creation of new bridges. So क्या आपके अंदर से निकलता है? That's trust. When you don't have trust in the government institutions. You don't have trust in your political leaders. You don't have trust on the person sitting next to you. We don't trust people. We don't have that trust. So the process can create a feedback loop. Thus, this is very important. Polarization becomes dangerous not when groups disagree. It's dangerous when groups disagree but do not interact. This is Very, very important. Just like Dr. Altaf was saying yesterday, that the point comes when you don't agree with somebody, but you don't want to respond to somebody because you don't want to waste your energy. You don't have mind. You don't have time. You don't want to waste your energy. So basically, and somebody then said that means you are like spreading the information and whatever. But it is important to interact. And it is important, I'm not saying that get into unnecessary discussions, get into unnecessary trolling, get into unnecessary comments, but a healthy discussion should never stop. Yes, to choose your battles wisely. ये तो we do also, we don't read the comments on the posts जो हमारे से मुताल्लिक हो. We don't want to read the comments. Otherwise हम depression के मरीज हो और कहीं घर के कमरे में बंद हो. Yeah, don't. No, just tell them that you want to. Because I can give you my example. There was a problem going on, and somebody called me that we should start this campaign, or at least you should respond on this issue. I said sometimes being quiet responds better. So you don't I don't have energy to get into that comment that I am this and you are that. I don't need to prove that every second. I know who I am. I know what I am. So I don't need to prove. So just like Dr. Aisha said, choose your battles wisely. If somebody calls you and pressurize you, just tell them that I know when to comment and where to comment. If you start commenting like that, तो आप दिन में कोई और काम नहीं करेंगे, ठीक है? Oblige के अलावा भी you like why to be positive in your life and why to get into that conflict which doesn't matter, right? So then you'll be able to open your productive side. Maybe you will be able to contribute more. We'll come to that. I'll just finish this. So use of Facebook and Twitter and online media as aggregators to drive polarization in any society. It is quite convenient to spread misinformation quickly through social media platforms. You don't verify the information, you just share it for the heck of sharing. Once I know somebody shared a post and I called her and I said, why you have posted this certain thing? Do you have any proof for that? She said, oh, what did I post? I said, go and check your Facebook. And she was like, oh, I didn't read, I just liked the image, so I posted it. So this is how you create conflicts in the society without verifying. The people more efficient in social media have more social capital. So the manipulation of social media platforms has spread widely, and they've been used to promote instability, spread political conflict, and call for violence. Political elites are creating this havoc in the society with the help of misinformation and by putting their social networks into motion, accessing and mobilizing their social capital. This is very important. I'm not talking about one particular person. I'm not talking about one particular political. It's about everybody. It's about all of them. And what happens is what they do, they mobilize their social capital. Which social capital? Which they have on social networks. How they have generated that capital? Maybe through information, maybe through misinformation, maybe through their popular agenda, maybe telling people that we are more on your side, maybe by telling them this, yes, we know you are suffering from these issues and we are the only solution of those problems. So there can be many ways, but the most famous or most popular thing is to follow the popular agenda, which you think, jo aap bikega aapka. And it's about everybody. So you, so basically, you mobilize your social capital on social media or your digital social capital or through social networks to gain the political gains, maybe to gain the religious gains, maybe to have your own agenda. Just think about it. that, because I have seen many people who share and who want others to share that too. There are many ways of doing it. Then people, if they rely on the person, here the trust comes. If you trust the person from where the information is coming, you don't want to verify. You never want to. मेरे भाई ने, मेरे अम्मी ने, मेरे फलाने ने कहा था. So it has to be true. I don't need to verify. So there is a trust. But that trust not necessarily is the trust. Maybe they are playing with your trust. They are compromising your trust. There should not be a blind trust. You should verify everything. Because when it comes to you, अब जैसे आपने, if you want to buy something, तो you try to research as much as you can, ताकि आपको धोखा ना हो जाए, कुछ गलत ना आ जाए. So where there is a high level of trust, recipients of news refrain from verifying the source from which they obtain information because they rely on people who are considered trustworthy. So whatever source we think, इसने कहा है तो it has to be true. If it's coming from there, it has to be true. If it's coming from there, it has to be true. If somebody has shared, it has to be true. मैं देख रही हूँ साकिब, टाइम 15 मिनट रह गया. नहीं, आप इतना मेरे सामने सच के खड़े थे तो मैंने कहा बता दूं, मैं टाइम देख रही हूँ. So basically, it's people. So it's basically how you people get their own agendas, and you intentionally or unintentionally become a part of it. Right? So basically, and social media is a very easy tool. It's a very easy tool. किसी को आपने जलील करना है, किसी को आपने बेइज्जत करना है, किसी को आपने बातें सुनानी है, किसी को आपने कुछ करना है, you just go and post something there about that person and you are done. It's like takes seconds and the whole life of the other person is ruined. Why it's ruined? Because 60 साल, 10 साल, 20 साल बाद भी from somewhere, sometime that post can come. कहीं से भी. और कुछ नहीं तो वो शेयर ही होना शुरू होती है. मैं तो यही तो कह रही हूँ, बिकॉज दे पोलिटिकल लीडर्स जो हैं वो इसी तरह का पोलिटिकल एजेंडा जनरेट करते हैं, वो इसी तरह लोगों को यूज कर रहे हैं बेसिकली, और हम हो रहे हैं. इट्स नॉट अबाउट आप या मैं या कोई और. हम उनकी इन्फॉर्मेशन पे यकीन करते हैं, हम उस इन्फॉर्मेशन को शेयर करते हैं. अगर वो हमारी, जिससे हमारी आइडियोलॉजी मैच करती है, अगर वो इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें उस पोलिटिकल फॉर्म से आ रही है, तो हम उस पर दूसरी बात नहीं सोचते. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट हम अपने सोशल टाइज को वीकन करते हैं. We don't want, जैसे आपको कहा था, इंटरैक्शन खत्म हो जाती है. We don't want to interact with the people जिनसे हमारी आइडियोलॉजी मैच नहीं करती, चाहे वो मेरा भाई है, चाहे वो मेरे को एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली में, because I think that I am right and what my political leader is saying, that is right. So we have disconnected with each other.
और इसमें मैं अब एक कमेंट भी करूंगा कि एक तो मतलब इसमें जो पीटीआई है, इमरान खान साहब, उसकी हम बात करेंगे कि देखें उसने एक पूरा जो है ना मतलब झूठ की बुनियाद पे एक नैरेटिव क्रिएट किया, और फिर बाद में वो सारा क्लियर भी हो गया. अब यानी उसके जो फॉलोअर्स है वो, उनको आप जो भी कहें, वो जितना भी झूठ बोले इमरान खान साहब, वो
अच्छा,
उस पे बिलीव
मैंने
करने के
पहले ही
लिए
कहा था कि आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू एनी पॉलिटिकल डिस्कशन.
नहीं नहीं, ये मैं वैसे
आपकी ना इस बात के बाद बहुत लंबा पंडोरा बॉक्स खुलेगा, which will not be done in 10 minutes.
असल में ये मैंने वैसे एक रेफरेंस दिया,
पोलराइजेशन हो जाएगी.
सॉरी, मैं एक और बात करना चाहता हूँ कि ये जो
मुझे 2 मिनट दीजिएगा, फिर मैं आपकी बात.
मिलिटेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, ये जो टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जैसे अलकायदा है, टीटीपी है, दाइश है, ये भी सोशल मीडिया का बड़ा जो है ना बहुत यूजफुल तरीके से वो इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. उसी के जरिए से जो है ना वो लोगों को रेडिकलाइज करते हैं, उनको अपने मैसेज जो है ना पहुंचाते हैं. उस पे भी यहाँ पाकिस्तान में कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है.
बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है. एंड आई विल टेक मोर क्वेश्चंस, बट आई जस्ट वांट टू फिनिश दैट बिफोर, एंड आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू पॉलिटिकल डिस्कशन, बिकॉज there are many people who are the follower of any political party and they can have a different opinion. There will be a polarization and conflict in the room, which I don't want. So Basically, you're right. There are many organizations. I just told you that polarization. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. There are many organizations who are using it, and there is a lot of types of polarization. It's not just political. It can be social. It can be religious polarization. It can, and we can use it to their for their own thing. Then there are the echo chambers and filter bubbles. And basically, what you do is, what you say is that echo chambers are the places where you get the information which you want to get, right? And how you get it, how echo chambers work. Any idea? Hmm? Okay. A logarithm is related to your filter bubbles. Along. Echo chambers are basically when you interact with the people or in the environment where you get the opinion which endorse or reinforces your opinion. Again, because you do not interact with different people, you don't interact out of your network, you start getting the information which reinforces your opinion. You want to interact with the people, you are comfortable with the people who have the opinion of yours. You don't want to sit with a person who say, ये तुमने गलत किया. Obviously, गलत इस तरह कहना भी, there is a way of saying it. But if somebody says it, कि नहीं नहीं ये तो तुम गलत बात कर रही हो, तो you would say कि why should I waste my time and sit with that person rather than आपका कोई कहे नहीं तुम तो कमाल हो, तुमसे ज़्यादा तो अजीम इंसान इस दुनिया में पैदा ही नहीं हुआ. So we'd like to interact with that person. Then there are filter bubbles, which is basically your algorithms. Filter bubbles are when you say that whatever we see on social media or whatever we search on media, digital media, it keeps coming in our newsfeed. It keeps coming in our other platforms. So क्या create होता है आपका? Filter bubble. So you are just getting the information or majority of the information which you want, which you have already searched. So क्या आपको मिल रहा है? अपने ही मतलब, you are happy that you are getting the information which you want. Are you happy with the type of information you want? Or you are happy with the quality of information? But you are not getting anything. जैसे आप छोटी-छोटी चीजें आप कोई आप किसी को भी सर्च करेंगे तो you will start getting that thing in your news feed. तो आप उसी पे फोकस करना शुरू कर देते हैं. So social media usage, political polarization, and social capital involvement in like-minded groups amplifies the ideological tendencies of the group, diminishes opinion diversity, and creates greater distance between ideological opponents. It's just because there is no concept of debates anymore. There used to be debates in the universities. There used to be a dialogue. There used to be an interaction. There used to be a lot of exercises which used to increase diversity, which gave the opportunity to share your opinion with the people. And people had tolerance. People had patience to listen to others. But if you are not going to listen to your ideological opponents, how would you decide that what you are doing is right or wrong? You need to have a diverse opinion in life. I'll take the questions. I think we have 5 minutes, but I want to know that after, it's just a concept which I've cultivated. I'm not here to teach anything. I'm not here to endorse anything. This is something my area of research these days. I really felt interesting, and I wanted to share, because we always talk about misinformation, we always talk about fake news, we always talk about sharing on the platforms, but we are the tools of that misinformation. We are spreading the misinformation. As much as you share that thing without verification and you trust the people, that would create more conflict. We need to do our own work. Why everybody has to be answerable to everyone? It's not like that. So you need to generate a social capital is very important for your economic development and for your social development. It's more about connecting with each other. You give more job opportunities to people on the basis of social capital. You get more developmental opportunities on the basis of social capital. But if you will destroy your social capital, you will destroy your society at large. And social media is playing a very important role in that. So I just want to know your opinion maybe, or how you can think about that this is the thing we can increase social capital on or through social media. And this is something which we are taking home today maybe. So anyone? आपका कोई question था शायद? You wanted to ask something?
एक रिक्वेस्ट है कि द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मीडिया एंड सोसाइटी, बेसिकली मीडिया के ऊपर जो भी फेक न्यूज़ होती है उस पर कमेंट्स करना, उसको शेयर करना, उस पोस्ट को हमें उसकी नॉलेज नहीं है किसी को तो भी हम उसको लाइक कर दें या शेयर कर दें, जिस पे लॉज भी बने हैं. व्हाट इज़ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन नॉर्म्स एंड वैल्यूज़? सोसाइटी में जो नॉर्म्स होती हैं वो क्रिएट की जाती हैं, लेकिन वैल्यूज़ जो होती हैं वो लॉज पे डिपेंडेंट होती हैं. जो लॉज बने हैं उनको फॉलो करना होता है. मेरी नॉलेज में ठीक है, ये मेरा ओपिनियन है, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप इसको, जो मेरे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है कि मीडिया का रिलेशनशिप जो है
विद द
सोसाइटी.
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो इम्पॉर्टेंट है एक चीज़ दिमाग में हमें रखनी चाहिए कि जो मीडिया के अंदर लोग काम करते हैं वो भी हम में से निकल के गए हैं. दे आर नॉट द एलियंस. वो दुनिया में कहीं और से नहीं आए हुए. हमने जो मीडिया को वो बना लिया ना इस वक्त के, सब कुछ जो ख़राब हो रहा है सोसाइटी वो भी मीडिया की वजह से है, और सब कुछ जो हम गलत कर रहे हैं वो भी मीडिया की वजह से. दैट्स नॉट द केस. एक दूसरी बात ये है कि मीडिया इज़ नो मोर अ मिशन. आई एम सॉरी बट इट्स नॉट. इट्स अ बिजनेस, टू बी वेरी क्लियर. सो इफ़ यू से कि जी जर्नलिस्ट का काम तो ये है, तो वो है, तो फलाना है, सेम इज़ द केस विद सोशल मीडिया, राइट? सोशल मीडिया भी उसी तरह करता है. देयर हैज़ टू बी अ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मीडिया एंड सोसाइटी. देयर हैज़ टू बी media which we read in books कि media should be a watchdog. Media should listen to the people. Media should do this. Media should do that. The thing is कि media अगर वो नहीं भी कर रहा तो but it's a part of our society. What we are doing as a society. Maybe this is something most of the people don't agree with. But your media and society relationship define करना भी तो हमारा काम है ना. Nobody from outside is going to come and tell you that this is the relationship between media and this is society. अब हमें ज़रा ना कुछ social media के आने के बाद से the things are really different. It's not the same anymore. कि आप ये कहें कि जी society में ये था और उसमें ये था और ये ऐसे होना चाहिए.
और उसमें उसने कहा कि नॉन मुस्लिम कंट्री का जो प्रेसिडेंट है वो मुस्लिम हो सकता है, तो क्यों नहीं मुस्लिम कंट्री का नॉन मुस्लिम जो है उसको हम प्रेसिडेंट बनाएं. दिवाली पर उन्होंने जोश में कह दिया. नेक्स्ट डे वो न्यूज़पेपर में जो है फ्रंट पेज की हेडलाइन बन गई कि नाना के बनाए हुए आइन को
बेटे ने चैलेंज कर दिया.
बिल्कुल. तो बेसिकली जब वो सोशल मीडिया पे थी तो जो फॉलोअर्स थे पीपल्स पार्टी के पॉलिटिकल फॉलोअर्स, उन्होंने इसको बड़ा अप्रिशिएट किया और उन्होंने कहा कि जी मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो के भी इसी तरह के थॉट्स थे और इसी तरह का नज़रिया था. तो ये बिल्कुल सही कहा है इन्होंने. तो एक लंबी डिबेट थी उस पर और नेक्स्ट डे न्यूज़पेपर में वो आ गया. मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि हम सोशल लर्निंग थ्योरी जो है उसको अगर हम कंसिडर करें तो हम क्या लर्न कर रहे हैं. जिनको नहीं पता, जिन्होंने बच्चों ने स्टूडेंट्स ने कभी आइन को ना पढ़ा ना उनके आर्टिकल्स का पता है, तो उनको क्या पता कि कहाँ लिखा हुआ था और किस आर्टिकल की पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. जब बिलावल भुट्टो को नहीं पता तो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को क्या पता होगा. तो मेरा पॉइंट यहाँ पर
कोई क्राइटेरिया नहीं है शायद. बिलावल भुट्टो को शायद बहुत ऐसा ना पता हो जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को पता हो. बट आई एग्री विद दैट पॉइंट कि मीडिया सेंसेशनलाइज करता है और मीडिया वो खबर उठाता है जो उसको पता है अगले दिन अखबार में बिकेगी. जस्ट लाइक सोशल मीडिया, जो वो आपको जो है ना थंबनेल वो देता है जिसको पता है कि जी ये थंबनेल मैं दूंगा तो मेरा जो है ना अंदर से खोला जाएगा, इफ दैट थंबनेल क्लिक बेट है ना, एंड यू डू इट, हम ये करते हैं, हम थंबनेल से इम्प्रेस होते हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली।
थैंक यू मैम, बड़ा ज़बरदस्त आपने चीज़ें शेयर की। मैं पॉलिटिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से कुछ शेयर करना चाह रही थी। सिंस वर्किंग विद द पॉलिटिशियंस एंड मिनिस्टर्स, जो उनका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू होता है विद रिगार्ड्स टू, हम इसको कह लें कि उनकी, जिसको आप कह रही हैं कि वो हेट स्पीच या बहुत एक पोलराइजेशन क्रिएट कर देते हैं, लेकिन उनके नज़दीक, पॉलिटिशियंस के नज़दीक तो ये उनके आइडियोलॉजी और उनके नज़रिए को एक्सप्रेस करना है। लाइक दिस इज़ एक्चुअली, दे से दैट दिस इज़ द थिंग दैट वी आर गोइंग टू कन्विंस पीपल, दिस इज़ अ प्रोपेगेंडा फ्रॉम देयर पर्सपेक्टिव, इट्स नॉट अबाउट क्रिएटिंग अ पोलराइजेशन, दे आर नथिंग टू डू विद, बल्कि शायद उनको ये वाली पोलराइजेशन अच्छी लगे कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टी जो ए है उससे ज़्यादा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी बी के जो लोग हैं वो ट्रेंड सेटिंग कर रहे हैं, सोशल मीडिया पे एक्टिव हैं, और वो कैंपेन्स लॉन्च भी इसीलिए करते हैं कि वी आर एक्टिव एंड वी आर मोर इन नंबर्स देन द पार्टी ए बी सी।
अच्छा, I just want to quickly respond to that. They're not as simple as you are explaining them. Like वो उन बेचारों का तो कोई मकसद ही ऐसा नहीं है, वो तो बेचारे political ideology अपनी बता रहे हैं और लोग उनके पीछे चल पड़े. It's not like that. That's something I know, you know, everybody knows. Thing is, I just said that because of that political messages which they disseminate this information. आप research कर लें, there are many studies which because of lack of time I cannot share, but they disseminate the information to gain their political agendas, ठीक है? And for that purpose they use any type of language, they use any type of information, they can distort the facts, there are so many examples, there's so many things, maybe sooner or later you'll able to read something from my side as well. So it's not that simple. And ultimately, because we people are not, कल यहाँ media literacy की भी बात हो रही थी, हम सब चीज़ों में बात करते हैं, but we cannot, everybody cannot critically evaluate or analyze the media messages. Everybody cannot. So a normal person who just read and believes. So it's like that. So ultimately, that has an impact on the society. That social media was working and you disseminate the information. I can give you like 100 of examples. We as a society. DGPR तो फैलाएगा ना भाई, रोकेगा क्यों? But we as a society need to understand and make other people. It's not about controlling anybody. It's not about influencing anybody. It's about educating others. डाल दो मीडिया पे, जिस तरह अमेरिका पे डालो सारा कुछ.
I'll just keep it short. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure listening to you. Such an enlightening vision. Ma'am, मेरी एक opinion ही है कि because like you just said कि people now don't prefer scrolling out their, you know, their social media pages just for the sake that, you know, if they hear some criticism, they'll not be able to take it, and then that's going to, you know, create issues for them, psychological issues for them. So, but it's just my, you know, humble opinion that, you know, no matter, it doesn't matter if you scroll onto your Facebook or not, but people around you, they keep on bugging you with whatever content, you know, is going, because, you know, people are so concerned about your particular life, and this particularly happens with the famous personalities, celebrities, particularly.
That when happens when your social ties are weak, when your social capital is weak, when you